Well, everyone, and welcome back to your daily edition of the Trick Podcast of Joy and Gosa TV on this beautiful Easter Sunday, 7 p.m. And here, starting out the evening and obviously wrapping up this amazing week of joy, of celebration, un día de mucha esperanza, un día de mucho amor. En este domingo de resurrección, un saludo a todos mis fans, los que me siguen en Instagram, en Twitch, en Periscope, en Facebook, en YouTube, donde quiera que me estén viendo. Un saludo a todos en este domingo tan bello de Pascuas de Resurrección, un domingo especial. Como le dicen, es el gran domingo de la fe cristiana. Este es como Navidad y, no sé, el Día de las Madres y de los Padres y de los niños, todo en un día. Porque si no hay Jesús, no hay vida. Si no hay el Jesús resucitado, no hay esperanza. Y eso es, creo que, algo muy importante que recordar. Si no hay un Cristo que está vivo, entonces no tenemos esperanza. No es chiste recordar a alguien que murió y que solo fue un ejemplo. Eso es bueno, es interesante, es importante recordar. Pero es más necesario y más importante y de más valor tener a alguien de que en realidad nos está amando y que nos quiere de todo corazón. Hello, Kyle. Good afternoon, my brother. This one is in Spanish, so I'll do a little bit of español. You can practice your Spanish. Pero hoy, un día muy especial de gozo, de paz, de amor. Yeah, exactly. De amor y de paz. Tres lecciones que tengo en este día de resurrección. Primero es la importancia de la vida nueva en todo, right? En todo lo que tenemos que hacer. So are you, young man. I'm just trying to keep up with you. It's that good life, right? Primero es la importancia del amor en la vida. El amor es todo. Sin amor no hay vida. Necesitamos el amor de Cristo. Segundo es la comunión. La importancia de personas unidas. De cómo podemos traer más amor a las personas. Y tercero es la importancia de la esperanza. Sin esperanza no hay vida. Me decía mi abuelita, lo último que perdemos es la esperanza. So I'm talking about the three lessons that I learned today on Easter Sunday. I baptized one of our young members of our church. She's in her 20s and just had a baby about 2-3 months ago. And she taught me three things as I was thinking of her life today. First, the value of love. You know, in terms of faith and belief, we can never forget the value of love. I mean, Jesus himself said that they will know you by the amount of your love. And so the question that I always ask myself is, how much love is in me? People come to faith, people come to church, people come to know Jesus because of the amount of love in your heart. And so that means you have to be filled with the love of God, and remove the things that make us unlovable. Number two is the value of hope. For this young mom, her life has been marked with a lot of difficulties, as with most people. But from the minute that I saw her, and even all the way to this day, I saw in her a hopefulness that really was easy, was hard to miss. Her smile, her helping out with our meals, and you know, when she had her baby, she actually didn't have anyone to take her to the hospital. And I said, you call me. If you need someone, you call me. And it happened to be, I think, on a Sunday morning, like at 9 a.m., if I'm not mistaken. And so basically no one could take her to the hospital except her aunt, who is one of our leaders at our church. And so she literally left whatever, I don't know, she had to do that morning and drove her to the hospital. But when I saw her today getting baptized, all I could remember is how filled with hope this young lady has been from the beginning, because and that hope has given her such relationships, has given her such perspective, has filled her life with even more hope. When you bring hope to the table, then hope multiplies. Hope multiplies. Your life is filled with hope. Guess what? You're going to receive more hope from other people. And then third is, no doubt, it's just the value of relationships. And, for me, I've always been one who comes in and out of relationships. I can tend to be a what's that song by Switchfoot? A something lover. I don't know what it was called. An innocent lover or a part-time. I don't know. Basically, one of those part-time friends is really what I would call myself, and it's been to my detriment. I've learned more and more, I think, especially these last few years, the value of depth and of relying on somebody else. I would go beyond friendship or relationships, meaning as the things to look for, but I would go towards relying on somebody else to really begin to think of people that you can count on, people that they can count on you. It's almost like a marriage, or like someone who exactly. Thanks, Kyle. And I've heard that before. There's my Gosabella right there. So now I want a beer. Huh? I'm distracted now. But the value of depth. There are a lot of nice people at our church, like in all places. And this one lady, she hasn't talked to me a lot. She's been there for maybe a year or so, a couple of years. She cleans the church. She helps in a bunch of ways. And I was sitting there. We had a lunch today, and I was sitting with a young man named Drake, and then she was just around. And so she came up and grabbed my hand. Those people right in church that are just so loving. And she said, "What I love about you, Pastor Trigg, is that you are so honest. And that when you talk up there, that you're not trying to make us feel like you're up here and we're down here." And then the young man that was next to me, he was kind of nodding along. And it was kind of embarrassing, like for all of the egomaniacness that we all of us speakers carry. It's always embarrassing, right? When people say things like that. It does beat the other comments that I hear also every week. But it's nice to hear those kinds of things. But my point is that when someone feels your brokenness or your genuineness, I would say for us that do it, it always feels like you're shrinking. But for the people that are hearing it, it feels like you're becoming greater. And even more, I think, important is that even though we may feel like we're decreasing, which is very biblical, the people that are hearing you, they feel like they are increasing. It's biblical. I mean, that's what John said, right? I must decrease. Decrease, we could call it now being vulnerable, being open about our struggles, all that stuff, right? Kind of having a therapeutic kind of approach to your speaking, where you are speaking, as Henry Nouwen would often say, as a wounded healer. And so it always feels like you're decreasing, or you're losing status, or you're losing maybe power or ego or control, which is true. But when the person hears that, they increase. The Christ in them rises, because Jesus, it's almost like he feeds off of brokenness, out of vulnerability. Every time that I talk about anxiety or about how I'm concerned, exactly, and we are decreasing so that exactly, Kyle. I mean, it really is a biblical concept that as we decrease, then our sheep increase. And, it's Paul saying in Corinthians 12, right? Is that when he finally figured it out, after all of his striving and church planting and all of his amazing life and work, at the end of his life, 2 Corinthians 12, he says that, same thing. He says that it is when I am weak that I am at my best, that I am strong. And so it's that concept that comes over time, that comes over years of trying to do it all, that which I've been through, and it's very typical for us leaders, pastors, spiritual people. It's that moment where you're decreasing is other people's increasing. And that's the beauty, I think, of the gospel and of the church and of and how God uses us. And so when this lady came and said those nice things, at first I thought, oh man, did I say something stupid again? Did I talk about, I don't know, my sex life again, or about getting angry at someone or yelling at my board member? Things that I try not to say too much, especially that first one. But I think that as she kept going, it actually became healing to me. Especially on Easter, where you have all these expectations of yourself mostly. So 3 lessons. I think that last one of relationship and decreasing is probably the strongest one. I want to sing a song that I sang this morning as part of my sermon. I concerned about... See, I'm increasing. No, I don't know. Wait a minute. That doesn't sound good. This whole stream could be taken the wrong way. That's why I don't do this, right? This is not good. This is on the internet forever. I'm going to erase this whole thing as soon as I'm done. Okay, I'm going to sing this song that we did a Good Friday service actually at my friend's church. My son and I, David, we played at this other church in Costa Mesa. Really nice, kind of hipster church that normally I don't go to because they won't let me in. They just take one look at my haircut and they're like, "You're definitely not a hipster." But my other friend, he is a hipster, and so he invited us to go play. Anyway, so they sang this song. I'm going to sing it for you. And I want to sing this to you or for you because it reminds me of the power of God over Satan and evil. Especially, with what happened in Sri Lanka today. There's just so much evil that is in this world. And yet that's why today, gosh darn it, is so important. Because if Jesus isn't alive, then evil will win. But if Jesus is alive, then evil has been conquered. So here it is. Above all powers, above all kings, above all nature and all created things, above all wisdom and all the ways of man, you were here before the world began. Above all kingdoms, above all thrones, above all wonders the world has ever known, above all wealth and treasures of the earth, there's no way to measure what you're worth. Crucified, laid behind a stone, you lived to die, rejected and alone like a rose, trampled on the ground. You took the fall and thought of me above all. Crucified, laid behind a stone, you lived to die, rejected and alone like a rose, trampled on the ground. You took the fall and thought of me above all. I don't know. I love everything about that song. It's like one of those childhood songs that I grew up with. Not childhood, probably more like, 20 years ago, I guess, 10 years ago. But I don't know. I love everything about it. Just that he's above all things. Yeah, I just saw your comments, guy. Trying to ignore half your comments. Oh my goodness. But yes, he's above all the things that rise up against us or rise up against the Christian church in Sri Lanka, if that's what happened today. It seems like it. And you don't have to go that epic, right, or that tragic. I mean, back to this young girl who got baptized today. You know, she has a business and she sells suits. She walks all over town here in the LA area, and she goes to used car salesmen lots and to places like that, and she tries to sell coats out of the back of her car, literally. She has a little baby, beautiful, adorable little girl. Her name is Bella. She's so adorable. She was sleeping today in our lunch, and then she woke up, and she had these big, beautiful eyes, and she had like a little Easter bow on her head, and she's just adorable. She's well loved by everyone. You can imagine, right? But as she's been going around trying to sell these suits, she hasn't sold one. She was telling me, I think a couple days ago, that she's been out a couple weeks and nothing. She was pretty down. So we were praying in my office when we were talking about her baptism. And, you know, for her, that's her above all, right? Is God above her discouragement where she can't sell these coats? That is her livelihood. Is God above that discouragement? Yes, he is. Is God above that disappointment? Yes, he is. Is God above the tiredness of being a young mom and having no man in the house? She lives by herself. The father of the baby is nowhere to be found. Yes, God is above all that stuff. God is above it all. God is above the tragedies in Sri Lanka, and he's above what seems trivial in your life. He's above it all. And that's the hope of Easter. That's the hope of this day. Well, that's all I have for you. Thank you, Kyle, for being here. You're making me laugh. My dear friend, once you're out here in the LA area, you got to come and preach at my church. We can do a pulpit share. Pulpit, what does they call it? Pulpit share, I think it is, right? Something like that. Okay, well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great, great, great Easter, and I'll see you next time. Adios.